Dani Bonani. Good afternoon. Am I audible? Please confirm that.
You are audible, loud and clear.
Oh, thank you so much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, it could be evening, morning, depending on where you're joining us from. We welcome you to the Brand Building Masterclass for Startups. It's curated for people like yourselves, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, whether you're in marketing or even a consultant. We welcome you to the call today. It is we are actually being hosted by Pinnacle and Co. And this is under the Knowledge Hub. And my name is Tembela Msibi, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. It is actually a genuine pleasure to host this masterclass, especially because we're going to, well, delve into critical issues which are very important for success of our businesses in today's dynamic market. We're going to be building brands and helping each other grow in that aspect. We're going to, mention and speak about the things that make our brands stand out and truly resonate to our target audience. And, others tend to actually focus a lot on building the product, which is also great, but a great product and service is just the beginning. But the real magic happens when we forge that emotional connection with the target audience. So over the next 1 hour, 30 minutes, we'll be exploring that, how to build a powerful brand. And we have two exceptional leaders with us today who bring a wealth of experience and a wealth of knowledge to the table. They will share insights, unique insights, and how to and tips of how to elevate our brands as startups. And I'm hoping that we're going to, of course, have more people join us on the call. But we will nonetheless begin. I love that all our mics are muted. That's okay. That's the first housekeeping rule. And we're going to ask questions in the end. So we're going to have the first speaker speak, and then maybe a second speaker as well. And then we're going to have questions towards the end. I think that's all good. The first presentation is going to be by Neo. Neo is, I'll need to pull up his his bio. So he says he helps brands tell their story and grow strategically and connect with their audience in meaningful ways using practical storytelling. So he holds a master's in global digital marketing and an honors degree in brand leadership. And he actually knows a lot about emotional intelligence and persuasion, and I'm hoping that he will really speak about that a bit because it's quite integral in how we build that connection, a rapport with the target audience. Neo, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, Tambela. I can hear you loud and clear. I'm well, and you?
Great, thank you. So Neo, please could you introduce yourself for a bit and then we get into the presentation.
Yeah, I'm Neo Molefakgotla. I'm CEO and co-founder of Plugged and Tribe. And as Tambela said, we specialize in helping CEOs and entrepreneurs to build brands.
Awesome, Neo. So what nugget could you throw to us today?
Start. A lot of people are concerned about how to go about starting and how to go about building a brand. And the best way to do that is to start. And as you do things, then you start learning. You learn as you go along and do it on a daily basis.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Neo. I am aware that you have a presentation to share with us. Are you able to share on your side?
Yes.
Very well.
Let's go ahead. My
It's up. It's up.
Can you
We
see it?
see it. Yes.
Just waiting for. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome.
Okay, can I go ahead?
Yes, you may.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you very much. But I was hoping that this is in the way. The pictures on the side are in the way. Okay.
Is it okay now?
Okay, the pictures have moved, but my slides have disappeared. Just give me 1 second.
All right.
Oops. Okay. So here's the flight plan for today. I'm going to cover the key elements of brand identity, as well as strategic value of brand development and how to conduct a brand contact audit and apply brand contact audit findings. So that's the flight plan for today. And I would like this to be as interactive as possible because you learn best when you participate. So here we go. The first slide is this one about Jaws. I don't know how many of you have seen this movie. Has anybody in the audience seen Jaws? Hello, has anyone
Yeah,
seen it?
I
Okay,
have.
all right. So this is crucial. So this is one takeaway that I don't want any of you guys to forget, and I would like you to indulge me for a second. I would like you to look at this bench. Can you see the bench on the side? Can you guys see the bench?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I would like you to close your eyes. Imagine that this bench is at a park and that park is close to a road. And the tar on that road has just been laid, so you can smell it. It is fresh and it's a hot summer day. Then a dog passes and it starts urinating on the tar. Are you imagining this? Then I want you to imagine jeans hanging over the bench. And these are Levi jeans. Can you picture that? So that's your story. Okay. So it is a way to remember something. The person who wrote Jaws is Peter Benchley. So the story I've just told you is how I remember things. So remember, we spoke about tar and a dog peeing on the tar. So Peter, that's how I remember Peter, by visualizing a dog urinating on tar. And then there's a bench, which is part of Peter Benchley's surname. And then Lee is the gene that is hanging over that bench. So because I have linked those, I'll never forget who wrote the movie Jaws. This is an exercise I did over 15 years ago. And up to today, I still remember who that person is. So branding is about creating associations. So that's what you want to do. You want to create an association in a person's mind so that when they're encountering something, they can remember your brand. So when they have a need to drink something, they remember your brand as opposed to somebody else's brand. When they want to go somewhere, they remember your brand. When they're with friends, they remember your brand. So that's what branding is all about. So the question I have for you is, how many adverts do you think we are exposed to on a daily basis? Can anybody venture a guess? Anyone? Going once, going twice?
Are we allowed to say too many?
Uh, just give me a figure, David. How many do you think we see?
Yo, probably 30 plus, maybe.
Okay, we are exposed to 4,000 to 10,000 adverts on a daily basis. That's a lot. So what happens is that we then put up walls so that we shouldn't see these because it's just too much. All right, that's what our brains do. So whenever somebody else comes with a branding message, it becomes wallpaper. It becomes like everything else. So that's why there is a need to then differentiate yourself in the market. So imagine this, imagine a food court. So you are in a foreign country and you want to eat and you get to a food court. And at a food court, there are various restaurants. So the question I have for you is, how do you then go about choosing where to sit? Because time is of the essence. You can't experiment with each and every restaurant there to determine which one you will like. So you need to make a split-second decision. Brand recognition matters there, and positioning drives choice. So what you then need to do is make sure that when people get to an environment like that, you have created enough hooks for them to choose you over anybody else. That's where brand identity comes in. So brand positioning is all about finding a unique space in a person's mind and occupying it to a point where nobody else can dislodge you from it. Okay? So that's what brand positioning is all about. What is it? It's a space your brand occupies in a customer's mind. Why does it matter? It matters because that's how you differentiate yourself from everybody else. You find a unique position in a person's mind and you seal yourself there as the brand for that particular need to be satisfied. So there are 7 different ways of positioning yourself. You can position yourself with your attribute. A good example of that is Volvo. Volvo has positioned itself as a safety. So when you want to buy a safe car, you go to a Volvo and you buy a Volvo because that's how they position themselves in the market. So how you position yourself has got to be something that is important to your clientele. There's no point in you positioning yourself just to be different for the sake of being different. The distinction has to matter to your client. So you can also position yourself by benefit or by price. One brand that does that very well is Rolex. Rolex positions itself via price and quality. It's not for everybody. You can also position yourself via use or application or by product user or by competitor or cultural symbol. So let's take a look at a good example, which is Coke. Coca-Cola has positioned itself using 3 of these variables. So they use benefit. They own refreshment, happiness, togetherness. That's what they talk about when you look at their ads. That's what they talk about. They talk about a refreshing drink. So the benefit here is that you're not competing at a product level. So another soda can come up tomorrow, but they're not going to be able to compete with Coca-Cola because it's not about the content. It's not about the taste. I remember a long time ago during the Cola Wars, there was a blind taste test between Coca-Cola and Pepsi. And guess what? Most of the people actually liked the taste of Pepsi, but they were not even aware that they're drinking Pepsi because it was a blind taste test. However, most people were buying Coca-Cola. So that just goes to show it's not about the product itself. Okay? They've also positioned themselves via product. They've spent a lot of money designing the shape of their bottle, and that is unique in the market. They've also used cultural symbols. They associate themselves with Christmas and global happiness. So those are the three different ways in which Coca-Cola has positioned itself in the market. So what happens is that when you're with your friends and you're having a good time and you want to drink something, that hook that was created by them is what will then compel you to consider buying Coca-Cola. And that's what you want to do first. You want to be part of the choice set, or rather the consideration set first, because from there you then go to the choice set. So you've got to be included in the list of brands that are being considered for purchase. And that's what positioning is all about. Now, that takes us to brand identity. Now, when you're creating a brand identity, you want to achieve three main things. You want cohesiveness. That means that every single thing about that product, about the touch points, has to communicate the same message. If you're saying you are for the affluent market, everything about your product has to communicate that. So from the stores, the pricing, the packaging, the distribution, everything has to say we are exclusive. The second thing is that it has to be memorable. And what makes it memorable is how valuable it is to your target market. If it solves an important need to them in a unique way, then it will be memorable. Because remember, the one thing that brands should achieve is to solve problems. You're in the market to solve problems and to solve them in a way that other competitors don't solve them. And then you've got to differentiate yourself. That is the whole objective of brand identity. So if you achieve those three things with your brand identity, then you're on the right course. So let's take a look at the various elements of brand identity. So taking a look at these, you have a classification of brand identity elements. You have visual elements, you have sensory elements, and you have strategic elements. So here's a question to you. Which element do you think you should start with when you're doing your brand identity? Anyone?
Because no
Yes,
one is
David?
saying, yeah, because no one's saying anything, I'll answer again. Visual elements. So visual elements.
Which one specifically?
From my studies, it would definitely be the logo. So
Okay. So unfortunately, that's the mistake that most people make, and they think brand identity is about graphic design. So a person starts a company and then they go and see a graphic designer and say to the graphic designer, I'm starting a company and I would like a logo. Create a logo for me. And then I put my logo up there and say to people, here's my company. But That's not where you should start. You should start with the strategic elements. Start with your brand story. And the brand story is all about, why do you exist? What is your reason for being? What problem do you want to solve? And what do you stand for? Those are the questions that you need to answer when you're doing your brand story. And the hero in your story is not you, it's not your brand. It is your customer, because that's who you're solving the problem for. So brands don't exist for themselves. We exist for our customers. So after creating your brand story, you then create a tagline to go along with that brand story. So I remember when Outsurance started, they positioned themselves in the market as an insurance company that will give you your money back if you don't claim after a couple of years. That was unheard of in the market, because people were just paying insurance every single month and only claiming if they have an accident or their homes get broken into. But if none of those incidences happened, then you wouldn't get your money back. So they positioned themselves in the market and they called themselves outsurance instead of insurance. Why? Because you get something back. Okay, so that's where that tagline came from. So you understand. So there has to be an alignment between the two. You don't just come up with a tagline out of the blue. You don't just come up with a name out of the blue. It has to come from a brand story. Another thing that you've got to consider is your sensory elements, your imagery. So imagery is the look and feel. So not only the look and feel of your containers. I mean, you look at Luna's containers. They're beautiful. They're elegant. Look at the colors that they've used there. Look at the font that they've used there. You know, every single thing there speaks the same language. It's not disjointed. All right. So imagery is also about where your product or your brand is going to be seen, the surroundings in which it's going to be found. So when you advertise a Porsche, for example, it's got to be in an affluent area. Where it's going to be found in the adverts is in prestigious magazines. It's also going to be found in environments that are visited by people who have money. That's what imagery is all about. Okay? I hope that makes sense. Okay. Now, you see, you have control over your brand identity. But on the other hand, there's something called brand image. So you do all these things in order for you to create a certain impression about yourself in the customer's mind. However, the customer forms an opinion or a perception about you based on their encounters with your product. And that happens at touch points. Okay, so when they buy, when they use, and after using your product, they form a particular perception about you and your brand. So understand that your brand lives in your consumer's moment. So you can do everything in your power to create this great brand identity. However, if the customer's experience of your brand is negative, then unfortunately, you don't have a great brand. So there is this constant dance between brand image and brand identity. So what you need to do when you're managing a brand is make sure that the two are as close as possible to each other. And that is why it's so important for you to audit your brand touch points. All the contact points, the main ones actually, because it's highly unlikely for you to audit every single one of them. But choose key ones to audit from time to time. And that will tell you whether your customer's experience aligns with what you say your brand stands for. The next thing is strategic value of brand development. Why? Why do you even bother developing a brand? Long-term differentiation. Branding is not marketing. It's not short-term, it's long-term. It's very strategic. So you've got to understand that when you are creating an impression about yourself in the consumer's mind, it's not a one-day game. It's going to take a very long time. So you need to be consistent, and you've got to say the same message over and over again. Second thing is emotional connection. You want to connect with your consumers at an emotional level, because that's where sales happen. Because when people think and when they feel, they make two different decisions. An emotional decision is far more effective than a logical decision. Most of the time, people make decisions based on emotion and not on logic. The next thing you create is trust. Because if your consumers trust you, then they queue up before you release a product and wait for that product. That is what Apple has created. They announced that they're releasing another model of the Apple, and people queue up outside their stores. They sleep outside so that they can be the first ones to get it. That's where trust comes in, because they're buying something they haven't even used before. Okay, strategic value of brand development. It's for brand affinity, and brand affinity is far different to loyalty. Loyalty is transactional. Okay, so it's stimulated using rewards. However, affinity is emotional. That's where you want to connect with a client. You want to connect with your clients emotionally. It builds competitive advantage. Okay, that's how you differentiate yourself, and you move away from being a commodity. It's not about functional or utility value. It's about the prestige of having your brand. It enhances talent attraction. Good people want to work with other good people. The best in the business want to work with the best in the business. So if you've got the best talent in the industry, you will attract other great people to work there. Okay. And then brand contact audit. So how does your brand actually show up? That's what you measure. And you've got to look at before, during, and after purchase. So when this lady applies this product, is she going to get the benefits that she's looking for out of the product, or will she be disappointed? Every interaction shapes perception. So she's going to base her brand image on her experience with that particular brand, right? Why does it matter? It reinforces identity, it creates trust, it builds connection, and consistent expression of your brand values, right? So what is a brand contact audit involved? It involves identifying all the touch points. And as I said to you, prioritize the important ones, because you can't do every single thing. Prioritize high impact contact points. Evaluate each one and assess gaps and inconsistencies in them. And then the outcome of a brand audit. What do you get from a brand audit? You get clear brand experience map, you get specific recommendations, and you get control over perceptions. Okay, then what do you do with those things? You apply brand contact audit findings. So the first thing that you do, you prioritize key touch points. Okay, you focus on the media that you own. Okay, you look at the packaging and you look at your onboarding. So if you focus on those three things to audit, okay, you're off on a good start. And then correct, and then you enhance undervalued moments. So you turn neutral into delightful experiences. So often when people have bought something, brands forget about them. How you can then distinguish yourself from everybody else is you can send them an email to say thank you. That creates top of the mind awareness, and you've distinguished yourself in the marketplace. Okay? Close journey gaps, create guides, reassure clients, and engage consistently. Because that's where a lot of brands fall off. They neglect those things. And that's why clients then forget about it. You monitor and measure. You test, you measure, you refine consistently. And that's how you then build a sustainable brand. Okay, so here's a practical example. And here I'm using a body and hair care product. So what they can do on their website is they can create personal contact and interactive tools. So hair care quizzes as well as diagnostic tools to help their clients. Okay, they can embed a quiz on their website where clients can ask questions and they can get an understanding of what their clients are battling with and answer those questions. Educational content hub, they can host how-to guides, they can have tutorials and educate their clients. And that's my last slide. Any questions? Let's talk.
Are there any questions? Okay, please do utilize the chat if something comes up. I definitely know I have a couple of questions, but I think because of time, we could have the next speaker and then have um, the questions towards the tail end of the engagements. Okay,
Great
good,
stuff.
great. Thank you so much, Neo. You have actually dropped a lot of gems. You said branding is about creating associations. So when the customer encounters something, they remember your brand. Oh, that was quite something. And the part about having a compelling brand story instead of just thinking about the logo, which happens a lot of time. So yeah, you just think of an idea of a product and you just want to slap some nice packaging on it, but what is the story behind it? What's the purpose? Why does it exist? Oh, yes. So the next speaker is going to actually unpack their own brand story. You have hinted, Neil, in your presentation. Luna. Hey. Luna, Hair and Body. So we have the co-founder of Luna, Hair plus Body, and her name is Seria Masilela. She is an award-winning entrepreneur, the Eswatini Entrepreneur of the Year Awards 2024. She won the Best Women-Owned Business and in the Eswatini Consumer Choice Awards 2024 as well. Hi, Sarah. You have had a wonderful 2024, clearly.
Oh, yes, you have. Thank you so much for that recognition.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. And thank you for having me here today. I think I'm actually more of a learner than a speaker today. I've learned so much from Neo's presentation. And I just think that he just maybe put the right words into the actions that we've been doing at Luna. So it's going to be nice to like show you guys now how it actually plays out or how it's played out for us.
Yeah, would love to see that. We're actually ready.
Okay, cool. Let me just try to share my slide.
All right.
Are you guys able to see?
Very well. Yeah, it's
Yeah, we
projected.
can see it.
Cool. Let me get going. Well, my name is Seria Masilela. I am from Luna Hair and Body as introduced. I am one of the co-founders of Luna. And basically, we are a hair and skincare brand created, made in Eswatini, that solves the skincare needs and hair care needs for African people. So basically, how this journey began for us is that maybe 8 years ago, I would say, it's quite a long time. My partner and I, we had no intention of starting a business. In fact, we just had an issue, a problem. We found that we couldn't find skincare for, and specifically hair care at the time, for our hair types. And at that time, it was before the whole natural hair movement happened internationally. So am I still sharing? Are you guys
Yes,
able
you
to
are.
see?
Yes, we're
Okay.
able to see, but maybe you could go full screen.
Okay, hold on. Give me a second. Okay, so it was before the hair care movement really happened, internationally. So at the time, you were left with really I would say cheap, maybe ineffective products for our hair types. And we were the kind of people who are very regimental in our beauty and hair care and journey. So whatever we would hear at the hair salons, whatever we would see, in the stores, we would apply it and we would apply it well, but still not see the results that, we were promised. So that led us, just as friends, as women, to do our own research online to see what's happening, why aren't we seeing the effects of the products. And this was maybe 8 years ago. And at that time, we stumbled upon so many vlogs at that time, YouTube tutorials from the United States of women who are using hair care and skincare and just seeing results with it. So basically, at that time, we had seen that these people are using products that we don't have access to in Eswatini. So we began our small business. We hadn't even thought of the brand. We hadn't even thought of having a business. We thought of it as maybe a way of making money on the side. So we began by importing products from the United States. What you see now, that you can find at clicks like Cantu, Shea Moisture, and things like that, that went on for some time. And with that, I think we got experience with customer relations, having a small business. We got also experience in knowing about the products and ingredients and wanting to give our clients the best advice. So that led us to doing more research, talking to people, consulting. And then eventually, as time went, these brands like clicks and started catching on with the whole natural hair, marketing thing, right? So they brought in these international brands. And at the time, it was still okay for us. We still thought of it as just, our side business. So it wasn't a huge thing. And obviously people started buying those products, from the Clixes and those kind of things. And then, but still, they would still come to us and be like, hey, I've just bought this for Clicks. Here are the ingredients. What do you think about this product? And then that led to us having to put more research into ingredients and doing things until eventually, we sat together and we're like, hey, we're doing so much research. We're talking to so many people, why can't we do this for ourselves? And also one of the interesting things that came out of that research was finding out things like, for instance, the curl pattern, the coil pattern of the Southern African hair type is the tightest curl pattern in the world. So even though we are Black here in Africa and American people are also Black, our curl patterns are not the same. They have a looser hair curl pattern and we have a tighter curl pattern. So even when it comes to the products are designed for them, they will work better for their type. So we felt like, no, we have to make something that speaks to women like us and ourselves. And that is what led us to Luna. And we began Luna, I would think, not as you see it now. We first began it as a called Luna Lifestyle. And at that time we had no experience in branding and just no way of knowing what to do and what not to do. And we actually learned all of this, I think, just trial and error. But I will kind of talk you guys through it and looking back, kind of identifying what happened in our mind and where the principles that we've just learned can apply. So I'm just going to skip forward because I think Neo covered these topics. And this was kind of if you go back 3 years in our Instagram page, this was the first concept that we put out as Luna Hair and Body. And sometimes as a business owner, you think that, hey, when I start my business, it has to be the best iteration, it has to be top class immediately. But I would say start where you can start, even if you start small. Looking back, at these images now, I'm cringing, oh my goodness, we thought that this was good marketing. But for instance, our logo didn't stand out. Our colors didn't stand out. You couldn't see it. It was just not anything, thought out, right? And even when it comes to on the right here, you can see our kind of like our Instagram feed at the time. These were generic, photos, no faces, no story, just like different kind of things put together. And when I look at other businesses like locally and even small businesses across the world, I see the same problem that they have of not thinking out branding and thinking out. I don't know if it's something that we're not trained to do, but we're just taught, I have a business, I have a product, I'm putting it out there. Whereas there is so much more reward and like, brand building in thinking out everything that you put out. So the reason that actually led us to doing this was like we had grown a customer base at this point of our customers who used to buy from us before selling other brands and then who trusted us, And then when we launched this brand, people were willing to give us a chance because they had already experienced us and, trusted in our knowledge of hair at that time. So we had a bit of sales and then we went to Clicks basically. And at Clicks, not Clicks, at Pick n Pay was our first retailer. We went to Pick n Pay and we were like, hey, we're a local business, we're a small business, we have these products, we're doing a bit of sales locally. Could you guys give us a chance? Could you put us on your shelf? And they were so kind, and they looked at our product and they were like, and we were like, oh, our product works, because we were sure it works. We use it. We are customers of it. But they were like, okay, we know it works. We believe you guys that it works. There's no problem there. But when you take this product as you guys see it now and you put it in our shelves, it will disappear. And that kind of opened our mind to the point, oh goodness, you have to make something that grabs the attention of somebody, something that stands out. You have to be able to sell something or like make someone choose or prefer your product, create the brand affinity when people are given a lot of options, right?
Sorry,
So,
Seria. We aren't able to see the slide of.
oh, okay. Sorry. Hold on.
Yeah,
Not sharing.
it's sharing, but we're still on the first slide.
Okay. Let me see.
I don't know if it's technical issues or because I'd really like to see how
The
how
before.
it
Sure.
was. Yeah.
I'm hoping that it will. Are you guys seeing anything now?
Yes, we did see something,
This.
but now we see you.
Wow. Okay. Hold on. I think I am having technical issues. Okay. Are you guys able to see?
Yes.
Okay.
But click the slideshow at the bottom.
I have done that. Has anything changed?
No.
Okay. I think I'm having a bit of a problem.
If we can't go full screen, it's okay. Maybe we could move on.
I use it like this. Are you able to see when I change the page?
Please try to change now. Yes, we're able to see.
Okay, I hope that you guys can see it. So basically, as I said, this was the first iteration of Luna making our own products and having our own brand. Even our communication, as you see on the right, it was just a mixture of like pictures from online, our own pictures, but without any thought, without any direction. And also, I think when you're a small business, you get kind of like trapped in the mindset of, I'm a small business, I'm selling to people that I've managed to get their attention through my Instagram, WhatsApp, or whatever online it is, right? You don't kind of put yourself in the position of what if I'm in a supermarket, for instance? Right? If I'm in a supermarket, I can't talk to my clients the way that I can talk to them on my Instagram page or if they've come to my website. So I need to be able to talk to my client through my brand, even when I'm not there, even when my client, even when my brand or my product is standing with other products. So that's what we learned from the experience at Pick n Pay. And even to the point of communicating with our clients, like we kind of didn't have, like, we kind of thought maybe when you're a business, you kind of think of selling from your own perspective as a person who makes it. So if I know that for instance, my Moon Dew leave-in conditioner, I have jojoba oil in it, right? I know the benefits of jojoba oil because I am, like, a manufacturer of this product, right? But the person who's using the product, the customer, customers are very focused on what they can benefit. They want to spend money on the things, on how is this thing going to benefit. So even when you speak to them on the left side, you can see I've put so much words, we had so much wording, so much information, and that information is still correct, but it doesn't draw the attention of a person. It doesn't keep their attention. It's boring. It's something someone can scroll past. But then having new information and having learned about branding and strategies and communicating with your clients, we kind of have moved on to communicating, like how you see on the right, which is we just put a picture there with our branding, and we just tell the people fast bullet points of what the product will do for them. What it is, it's a daily hair moisturizer. What it helps you do, easy combing and hair manageability, reduces breakage. People want quick information in this, technological age that we're in. They want quick, fast information, and they want to know how this product can help them. So that was a thing, I think, also that really changed something for us in a really big way, just to know how to communicate and know how to speak to our clients. And another thing is just even in our packaging design. Like if you look at the old branding, I hope you can see this new slide.
Yes, we do.
If you look at the old branding, this is the same product. We haven't changed the formula. The formula still works the same. It's the same, good recipe that we have, but it's just packaged differently and it's advertised differently. If you look on the post on the left, you can barely see our product name. You can barely see our brand name. Everything is cute and nice. I mean, sometimes you get caught up in that as a small business. You're like, hey, I've done something. This looks nice, but what is it actually? Is it able to communicate what you want to your customer or to your potential customer? So, and now the same product, we've repackaged it. We've changed how we put our information out there. We've made it cohesive. Also, we lacked cohesiveness, and because we didn't have a full brand kit. Going back to what Neo said about, when you begin a business, you always think, oh, you go to somebody and you're like, I need a logo, Whereas the right thing to do is you want somebody to design, and they do that, a whole brand identity for you, which comprises of your logo, your colors, your fonts. They even talk to the way you speak, how you should put things together, how you should place your graphics. So that comes with the whole graphic design package. I know it costs more money because all of us, you want to pay 500 Rand, 1,000 Rand for a logo. And when you're quoted maybe 1.5 or 3,000 for a brand identity package, you kind of intimidated. But in the long run, because as Neo said, branding is not marketing. It's not for a sale now. It's a strategic thing. It's something that you're investing in now for a long-term return. And I think that's what we definitely saw when we moved from just having a logo and just advertising to having more planned out, thought out, strategic branding and posting. And then on to the next post, just even generally, if you look at the way that we're now, this is our current Instagram feed. And if I can go back to this post on the right, that was our Instagram feed before. And now you have our Instagram feed looking like this. The changes is, number one, branding cohesiveness. You can see our logo, you can see the way we format our posts, you can see our brand colors, everything is in our brand fonts. You see faces, you see people using the product in real time, and also you see our story being actually played out. Because if I just go back to the previous slide and you look at the picture on the left, you can't tell anything about our story. You can't tell who does this product speak to, what is it for, Whereas if you look at the way we're communicating now, a person who lands on our page is going to see, oh, I'm a Black woman, this is for me. I have natural hair, this is for me. I am a person who is trendy and into, keeping up and things like that. Those kind of people will be attracted to kind of our brand. And then if I go to the next slide is just generally communicating, to our customers. Even if you look at our posts, I've just picked this one here. This was a trend that was online maybe like a couple of months ago, where you used AI to create like a graphic of like a Barbie doll, right? And even in this is a perfect example of how your communication needs to be speaking to who your target market is, right? I think Neo went into this about knowing who your customer is and speaking to that customer. And that's basically positioning. If we've positioned ourselves as a brand for African people, for beauty, people who are conscious of health and beauty, all that we do, how we speak, how we present ourselves, needs to speak to that positioning. So if you look at this post, you can see, number one, it's a Black woman. So you know this is for POC people. If you look at the kind of woman that she is, you can see that she's somebody, her hair, her skin, she's into health and beauty. If you look at this, you can also see that she is a person who keeps up with trends. She's got a matcha drink there. She's got an iPhone. She's wearing AirPods, and she has Afro hair. So this also speaks to hair care, you know. So all of these are subconscious cues that you have thought out strategically in your branding that click lights subconsciously in the mind of the person seeing this. And as Neo said before, if we're faced with 4,000 ads a day and our brain automatically filters them, you need to create things that will subconsciously get that person's mind's attention by saying, hey, this is for you, your POC. This is for you, you're into health and beauty. This is for you, you're cool and trendy. This is for you, you have Afro hair. So when creating a brand identity, you need to speak to, you know, your whole, you know, everything, your story, how you speak, what your customer wants to see, what is your customer like, and how you can appeal to them. And that's what your brand needs to speak to. And even to the backside of that, which is customer care, solidifying that perception, because I've created this like nice, trendy, clean aesthetic online. But when they actually go and interact with the product, the packaging, the customer service, they need to be experiencing that same level of care and thought and community that you've shown online to kind of solidify your place in their life. So I think that is it. I'll end it there.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation, Seria. This was so, because I remember encountering your product on Instagram. It was also very aesthetically pleasing. I'm like, I want to be a Luna girly. And when you go through your Instagram pages, your posts, you actually see a lot of familiar faces there. I don't know if it's because Eswatini is a small country, or I think most it's the latter, the fact that you have managed to build a community around the brand. So all these other people, myself included, we then become brand ambassadors, and then word of mouth, and then it spreads. We did have some questions come in during registration, but if you do have more, please do drop them in the chat. The one question I would like to ask you, Seria, and Ney, you're still there as well, because this will also be for you.
I'm still here.
Awesome. I just want to begin first things first, starting. There's a question here that said, how can one overcome the fear of starting? Maybe Seria,
Yeah.
let me give this one to you. How can one overcome the fear of starting?
Wow. I think for me, I think maybe I think it's more like a fear of maybe failing, trying something and failing. I think maybe taking things very slowly. You don't make the idea of starting a business a big monster in your mind, right? You don't have to, I've done this huge thing, I've taken on this huge endeavor. You can literally take it on in slow pieces and bites. So I would say starting small, starting off with what you're able to do, and just doing it. The only way that you overcome a fear of anything, a fear of putting yourself out there, a fear of failing, is by doing the thing. And the more you do it, the more you become uncomfortable you become comfortable in something that was previously uncomfortable for you. So I think just trying to do your business bit by bit, learning as you go, and challenging yourself, becoming more comfortable, and that experience and kind of like, exposure is what's kind of going to drive you. So start small if you have that fear, and then that will lead you on.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now you're also a CEO, right? So I would also like you to answer this question, actually. And another
Seria,
one to support
yeah.
that one before you answer. There's a question that came in that said, any techniques on building a strong brand for a startup business and possibly attract clientele and investors? I know you did partly answer that in different parts of your presentation, but perhaps you could just sum it up and then
Well,
speak to the fear of starting.
okay. Seria, I really liked your answer. It's quite comprehensive. Regarding starting, it's not a question of just starting a business because you want to be self-employed and you want to be your own boss. The question is, what problem do you want to solve? What is missing in the market? What is that gap that you're going to close? That's the first thing. The second set is, do you have the requisite skill set to be able to fill that gap? So those are the two questions that you've got to answer. The third one is, what is my reason for being? So what is it that is missing in the marketplace that I will bring in? Who will I help? And why would they listen to me? Those are the questions that are crucial to answer. The fourth one is for you not to be obsessed with your own idea. Understand that you can have an idea in your mind, and when you implement it, people are not interested. So what you've got to do is conduct thorough research. Talk to the people that you want to provide a service to. Find out if they want or need what it is that you are thinking of providing to them. And once you have an indication of interest, then you can start. And as Seria said, start small. So you've got to sample whatever it is, and you've got to iterate. So you don't build an entire car. You build a framework, you put the wheels on it, and then you put it to the test and hear what people have got to say. And they'll tell you what they want, what they don't like about the car. You make the changes. And so forth. You iterate until you get to a good enough product for people to buy from you. How do you go about building a brand? You start with the brand identity elements. And you start by saying to yourself, what position do I want to occupy in my client's mind? What is it that they want? And what is it that I can provide for them? And you build a brand around that. You build a brand around a particular need and not a brand around a product. Stay away from building a brand around a product and build around your client stories. The client is a hero, not you or your brand. Make your client the hero in your story. And that's how you build a great brand. So if I was to take a group picture and I was to then give that picture to everybody who is in the picture, who's the first person they're going to look for on that picture? Themselves. Each person is going to look for themselves first on that picture. So that's what it's all about. So clients are more interested in their story, not your story. So you've got to show the client how you're going to help the client, and then the client will buy from you. Show that you care about them.
Thank you so much for your response, Neo. There is a question that I also have. It's pertaining to your expertise. It's regarding behavioral economics, because that's also what you specialize in. What's one maybe common cognitive bias that startups can leverage to encourage purchase or engagement? How do I, as a startup, persuade? Yeah.
Okay. So you guide people. When you're introducing a product, the clients don't know how much it's supposed to cost. They don't know what expensive is. They don't know what cheap is. And expensive and cheap are relative. So what you then do is that you introduce a product at a particular price and you discount it. So if you wanted to sell the product for 500 rands, you price it at 700 rands and you say, I'm discounting it to 500 rands. So what they look at is that discount, that saving 200 rands. So instead of parting with 700 rands, they're parting with 500 rands. Another thing you can do is that you can introduce 3 different products. So you introduce an entry-level product, but you want people to buy the middle of the road product. However, you introduce another product at a premium level. Okay? Now, the pricing of the premium level product is far higher than the middle of the road product. So people look at the entry level product and they say, well, that's probably cheap and nasty. And therefore, I'll go for the middle of the road product. But that is substantially higher than the entry level product. And that's the one that you want them to buy. And from time to time, you'll find people who buy the most expensive just because they want to show off that they want to buy the most expensive. So that way you'll be able to catch people at the entry level, middle of the road, as well as the premium level.
Those are actually, I'm now trying to also analyze. Yeah, this is, this masterclass will influence my buying patterns henceforth. Because, each time I hear this, I don't want to fall into the trap. But when I get into the store, I love the brand so much, I need to part with 500 ml again. David, your hand is up.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, thank you. I just want to what's this? I want to follow up on the behavioral economics thing. So, what I've noticed is that as a startup, one of the difficulties that you face is that people don't trust you. So that's what drives their purchasing behavior. Like especially when you're coming into a market where there are other players. So, like I'm saying, if I'm unknown, like Tembela said, there are certain cognitive biases that people have. So for an unknown brand is they don't trust me. And I think I saw that somewhere in Neo's presentation, something about building trust. So just, yeah, while we're talking about behavioral economics, how do I get people that don't know me to trust me? Because what I've noticed, I was actually thinking about this yesterday as I was working on something. Yeah, I noticed that Facebook does something, and when I do it, basically we're doing the same thing, but I'm not Facebook, so they don't trust me. So yeah, thank you.
The answer is simple: social proof. So when people see other people using your product, they will also buy your product. So if you go to a food court and one restaurant is packed and the one right next to it only has a few people, the logical conclusion is the one that is packed sells delicious food and the food is fresh there because they're turning over their stock. The one next door probably has stale food because it's been sitting there and nobody's buying it, So your best bet is to go to the one that is full and rather wait. So I've written a book and I'm a first-time author. So I knew very well that I would encounter that type of problem. So be prepared to sample. Be prepared to give things for free so that people can test your stuff. So the only way people will know whether your food is good or not is by tasting it. you know. So you can't insist on charging everybody. You must be prepared to let go of certain products for free. Get other people to then talk about you and say, hey, this guy is doing a good job. So as a result of that, I've gotten people writing reviews and saying, we've read the book, this is great. And up to now, I still give away free copies of the book. I hope that answers your question.
Nah, it does, because actually currently running I think it's a month-long free promotion of my services. So yeah, I guess I'm on the right track. Thank you so much.
Great stuff. All the best.
Awesome. And we have another one from Wandile. Please unmute and ask your question.
Afternoon. Thank you so much, Neo and Seria. I think we got the base of what we need to do at entry level. Neo just giving us the basics of how we enter the market. My question will be to Neo, how long does it take for a brand to actually, or a time frame to say now this brand, because most of the time the case studies that are put in place, for example, the Coca-Cola, the Volvo as a case study, these are well-established brands that have been in the market for years. It's luckily we've got a serious brand that has been showcased, which is a local brand. But I'm just trying to check, how much time do you need to actually position your brand in a sense that is making market value? It's a brand that's guaranteed, because one of the challenges that we're having in startups is actually having to break even a 3-year or a 5-year period within introducing new brands. And then my second question, I don't know if I'll put it clearly. One of the things that's also often pulled in our attention when we are speaking brands, we always focus more on products than service. So what's the difference there? I see, Neo, you're running a good consulting services. Forgive me, guys, with the background noise. My team is noisy. I'm in the office. I hope I'll be clear as much as I can. But Neo, service and product, because most of what we are now focusing on in terms of us venturing in business is that we have to think top of mind, solving problems by bringing in products. But how can we then bring in services and be able to meet up with the market demands and sell the service in a quickest way that it can meet even the pressure that is there within products? I think those are the two questions that I have. I'm sure Neo, you'll be able to assist in positioning my mind that aspect of.
Those are two great questions. So it goes back to regarding your first question. You want to build brand reputation quickly. You can only do so when you have satisfied clients. You've got to get yourself in a situation where people are saying great things about yourself. And one of the ways of doing that is building a community. So you've got to do that from the get-go. Have that mindset that you're going to build a community. So what we do is we find existing communities and we cater for those communities, because every single person is part of a particular community. So you find people who cycle, you find people who run, you find people who rock climb. They are communities, all right? So those people consume stuff. They eat, they drink, they wear clothes. So what you then have to do is find out what interests those people and be there, be in that presence. And then talk about things that concern them the most. And then you're in. It's not about imposing yourself, but in finding out what it is that is important to them and then catering for those needs. So the more time you spend with them, the more you get to understand them. So a lot of people use interviews for research. I think they have value, but if you really want to know about people, use immersion. Be there. Ethnographic research, as far as I'm concerned, is good quality research because people can't hide themselves. They can't pretend. So be part of that community. Eat with them, sleep with them, dance with them, joke with them, laugh with them, cry with them. And that will give you a deeper understanding of who they are. And when you then release a product, you'll be releasing that product to your tribe. Because everybody within that community identifies themselves as being part of that tribe. So when one person then buys your brand, the other people then see that and say, hey, but this belongs to our tribe. And therefore they start buying what belongs to that tribe. So it's not about time, because that can be accomplished in 6 months, or it can be accomplished in 6 years. It all depends on how active you are within that community. I hope that answers the first question. The second question, services are actually the best thing to sell because you don't have inventory. You don't have to worry about buying stock. You don't have to worry about housing it. You don't even have to worry about offices per se. You yourself can be the product. I am a product. You know, and I give people advice. So as far as I'm concerned, if you want to sell a service, go ahead, sell a service, provide that service, and choose your clients carefully. Okay? The best problems to solve are the most difficult problems. So solve the difficult problems, because not many people are willing to, and not many people are able to. So become an expert at solving difficult problems. And the people with difficult problems are usually the ones who've got money. So you solve fewer difficult problems and you get a lot of money, and those people then talk about you. So when an affluent individual says, this individual solved this problem for me, then a whole lot more people listen and are likely to also follow suit. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much, Neo. It's clear. Segmentation, messaging, first one. The other one, I got it very clear. Appreciate that.
Great stuff, man. All the best to you.
Cheers.
Thank you, Neo. I know, Seria, you will need to leave us soon, but before you go, I would like to ask a question. There's one that asked, which tools can I use to manage my social media pages? But that's not going to be the only question that you depart with. There's one which says, how do you measure the return on investment? The return on investment in building a brand. I think that's actually a crucial question because other people often feel like it's wasting money, all the marketing efforts, all the brand building efforts, it's wastage. But would you say there actually is a return on investment? And please pair that with the question about the social media tools that you use, because you have quite the online community, and what tools do you need and where is the return on investment? And then maybe you could then say your goodbyes, and then we'll stay and answer the two questions that remain.
I think
Wait, I also have a question for Seria. Sorry, I'm not disturbing. It's just that they're about to let you go, and my question's for you. Sorry.
Okay, you may ask.
So okay, my question is, Syria, it's actually for both speakers, but I'd like Syria to go first because she showed the evolution of the brand, like from not having a brand story to actually having one and beginning to tell it. So my question is, how do I, as a startup, how do I write my brand story? Is there a framework that you can suggest? But basically, you answer the question however you want. Yeah, but the main thing with being a startup is that you get caught up in the life of being a startup. So that's just surviving, trying to get money to pay the bills, money to eat, and all that kind of stuff. So how do I get my mind in a space where I can write a story and begin to tell it such that I appeal to my target customers? Thank you. Sorry about that again. I was not being rude. It's just what's about Hambis. Sorry about that.
What was your second question, Tembela?
Well, there's the one about the return on investment. Where's the return
Yes.
on investment? And then the second one, there's one who asked what social media tools you use. Yes.
Okay. I think that I'm just going to maybe the good thing about my story is I will tell you guys that stuff from like how I've experienced it in my brand. In terms of social media tools, like Luna is a small business, right? So we also have the thing, I think I have a co-founder, and I really also recommend having a co-founder if you can. It's also difficult to find, but we are really good traits that we balance each other out. I am more creative and it's artsy and things like that, whereas she is more practical, real, and number focused, right? So her and I always have this conflict of spending money on branding and marketing because I'm like, we must, and she's like, it's too much money. But that conflict is always there. And I think that because of that, in terms of how we spend, what I will say, number one, is we use free apps as much as possible. Things like Canva. This is low-hanging fruit. This is easy things anyone can do. A Canva, a free membership. You can even get the paid membership, which I have, which I think is even more helpful, and I think it's a good investment. Obviously, when it comes to social media as well, because we are a small business, we don't have the resources, and as David said, the time to we've got to be the marketing, the accountants, the production, you've got to be everything, but you're one person. So what we did in terms of Luna is that we just kind of like chose one or two, I would say one platform, to be honest. And how we came to that decision was knowing who our customer is. We said, our customer is a person who can afford this much in skincare. She lives this kind of lifestyle. And we kind of narrowed her down. And we asked ourselves, where is that customer going to be on social media? And we came up to Instagram. And I think that has paid out. So we chose to focus on Instagram. So even when it comes to our marketing, Canva, it's Instagram, a bit of it. We do put a bit of things in other social media, but I would say our main focus, like 90% of our focus, is on Instagram. We do Facebook ads, which we also, Instagram is also part of the Facebook world. So we run our ads on Instagram. And even in terms of ads, our strategy when it comes to ads is to have like the lowest amount of ad spend over the longest amount of time, and constantly have like very, very inexpensive ads constantly running, apart from our active marketing, initiatives and posts and things like that we have going on. So I would say paid ads, but even that, I wouldn't say rely on paid ads, but it's something that we have found value in. Especially in the beginning. Now I'm not sure how it is, because when we began, maybe Luna itself is 2 years old. As much as we've been doing it for longer, the brand Luna is only 2 years old. So when we began, we found more return on ads. Then now it's a bit different. Now they're costing more and things like that. So that's also a question, but we do use Facebook ads. Another thing, we use AI. I would say, as an entrepreneur, you need to be constantly learning. I spend so many hours online learning, whether it's YouTube, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Facebook, whether it's reading research papers. I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly reading books and doing things that take away the work from you. So I use ChatGPT constantly, even for posts, even for writing things. It reduces my labor, basically. And I would advise people getting to use that and learning more, because the more you use something, the more you learn how to and become better at it. In terms of how to measure return on investment, maybe Neo will give more on this one in terms of exactly calculating it. But for us, I think that our strategy in really rethinking just having a logo based product out there to having a whole story has really paid for us. I don't think that we would be where we are in terms of even sales and return, if it wasn't for the community that we've built, with our clients. So for me, I think that you've got to sell products. If you're a business, you've got to sell. Whether it's your products, whether it's your service, you've got to sell. And how do you sell? Is by marketing. And what is the best way to market? One of the best ways is by creating this community. So it's a long-term thing. It's a strategy. You might not see the money now, but I feel like you do see it in the long term. And then in terms of how do you write your brand story, it goes back to also what Neo said in the beginning of why are you having this business? Why are you starting this brand? It needs to be solving a problem that you experience yourself, which is even better because you become your own customer. So you use your products. You are the person so you'll be able to, adjust where you need to adjust and iterate. But also if you see a problem in another community. So just that thing of I saw a problem, I'm inspired to solve it is your story. What came to us, we saw from our own experience, there was no beauty products for us. We solved that problem. And telling that story, why was it, why did it engage us? Why did it, get us to act? Those are parts of your story. Even if you do maybe a mobile money kind of service. I lived in the rural areas, or I had family in the rural areas, and I struggled to send them money, or I'm seeing people without this in this place, and I didn't like that. And it's literally, don't overcomplicate it in your mind. All your story is saying, what was the problem that I saw, and why was I motivated to solve it? That is your story. And then another thing that's also very important is just consistency. Like, a lot of these things don't pay out immediately. Like, I get this a lot. One time somebody spoke to me and they were like, hey, you started a business. I saw your brand has blown up overnight. And I was taken aback, even though I didn't say that to the person, but I was like, I've been working on this at least 2 years, if you look at Luna, and 8 years, if you look at my evolution in having a small business. So it takes some time, especially if you're small, if you're doing it organically, and it requires consistency. Even when it comes to, you might sit down for today an hour and quickly write down, I need to have identity, I need to have positioning, I need to have these things, and then you don't apply it tomorrow, or after next week you've stopped. This is a constant, every day engaging with your community, every day speaking, every day posting, every day acting, every day telling your story. And it's exhausting. You do have few resources as an entrepreneur, but it's a must, and there's no avoiding it.
Thank you so much, Seria. I do wish we had more time with you, but unfortunately not. So could you please just take a minute? I know it's it's 3:30, but could you take a minute to say goodbye? Maybe say what you want to say about Luna, and then
Yeah.
we'll be it for you.
Well, thank you, guys. I really enjoyed this session. I've learned a lot myself. And sometimes it's good to see things like from like different perspectives and like more technically. And also the things that I've learned, I'm still going to apply in my business as well, after this, session. So thank you, Pinnacle, for hosting me. And thank you, Neo, for your very, very good, talk. And thank you for everybody who attended and your questions. Luna Hair and Body is for male and female people. So I know there's like ladies and gentlemen in this group. So our product is for both male and female. You can get it locally at Pick and Pay. You can get it at Dollar Spaces. You can get it on our online store. You can even send us a WhatsApp business message. We deliver. So yeah, support the brand and our journey and our story. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Seria. Bye.
Bye, Seria. Thank you very much.
Neo. Hi, Neo.
Hello. I'm
Could
still
you,
here.
spare maybe 5 minutes? We still have a few hands up.
Yeah, that's fine. No problem.
There was a hand that was up, but I think I've lost it.
It was probably for Syria.
Was Boomy.
You think? Yeah, There is a question that David asked, and he did say it was both for Seria and yourself. I'm not sure if you recorded that one, or should David go again?
Just remind me.
David, could you please go again?
It was about how to write the brand story, sir. Basically, how do I write a brand story as a startup? Because you face different challenges as a startup, like you're trying to survive. Another one is it's also you don't have money for just to add, I know I didn't say this before, but you also don't have money to work on the different elements of a brand identity. So yeah, those kind of challenges you end up basically trying to, yeah, you have difficulty writing the story basically.
Okay. So tell me a bit about your business. What product are you selling, and who are you selling it to? Did you get that, David?
David, are you muted, or I think he has left the call. Maybe it's internet issues, but that's all right. That's okay. Maybe he'll be able to forward the question. It's just I'm worried about our time. This is usually when we end our sessions. If there aren't any more questions, we will end the session right here. Thank you so much, Neo and Seria, of course, in absentia. And we do know, okay, I'm seeing in the chat that we have been joined by Siyanza Masuku. Unfortunately, you have joined Sestocetsa and Jenhlani at the end of the session, but not to worry. We do post our recordings on YouTube at Pinnacle and Co on YouTube. And you could follow us on our social media platforms as well, particularly on LinkedIn. We are at Pinnacle and Co. And our website is live. So you will also find the link to this webinar and other previous webinars on www.pinnacleandco.com. Should be quite simple, but unfortunately I'm going to have to wrap it up right here. And thank you to everyone who was able to join the call, everyone who's going to be watching this in the future. Thank you for coming back. You have done so well for your startup growth. And we hope that we will continue, to build these communities that are very necessary for the growth of our businesses. It's quite difficult being an entrepreneur, particularly in, our context in Eswatini, but we do our best. And at Pinnacle & Co, we have the Knowledge Hub, which, it's our contribution. This is how we are helping to equip startups with knowledge. And we do want, to discover the first unicorn in Eswatini. So thank you so much. We will be seeing each other very soon. We also, by the way, have an Ipuma events coming up in Sentin. We had our first Ipuma events. It's like a B2B networking dinner. We had the Ipuma business dinner was it in May? I think in May at Summerfield where's that? Was it Ezulwini? Yeah, but I think it should be, yeah, Summerfields, Botanical Gardens, and we're going to have the second session in Santon as well. I think if you please be on the lookout on social media. We will be sending out a link. Actually, there is a link that's out. So if you're an entrepreneur and you want to, engage in cross-border trade or expand your services or network, meet investors to grow your business, you could also join us there as well. Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon. Bye.
Thank you very much, Tundela. Have a great day. Bye.